In this section, we're going to explore Mystery Babylon, because this is probably one of the most important scriptures that we need to understand for the last days. And it comes from Revelation chapter 17. Specifically, what I'm talking about is verse 5. It says this, "And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth." And so many people want to know, who is Mystery Babylon? What is the word telling us? And so the Lord doesn't want us to be unwise about the last days or guessing all the time about the last days. The reason why he gave us the message of Revelation chapter 17 was to understand and know what he was talking about. And the closer we got to the second coming, the more focused the end times picture would be. So in order to get the full picture, let me read the 17th chapter for you and point out item after item so that you will understand who Jesus is pointing to as Mystery Babylon. Revelation chapter 17. "And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters." Now right away, he is talking about a whore. It's a woman, and this woman is sitting on many waters. Now we know what the waters means. It's peoples, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. Now this is very, very important. The place that this angel took John is the wilderness. And I'm emphasizing this because this is most important. And it goes on, "And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast," and obviously the color is very important, "full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." And we're going to explore what this is too, to give you a clear picture of what we were reading here. But I will be going back to the specific knowledge that the Lord has given to us, especially when we're talking about the woman in the wilderness. "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornications." So again, the Lord has given us specific items to look for, which is really important to understanding the knowledge about this woman and where she is, this Mystery Babylon woman. And this is the scripture that we started off with. "And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots and abominations of the earth." So whoever this woman is, she is the woman of all the harlots. She is the mega woman. She's the worst of all of them. "And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. So we're going to get disclosure. So please stay with me. You'll understand. What I'm going to give to you will break it down very simple for you. "The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is." Now this too will be identified for you. What does it mean that the beast was and is not and yet is? You'll understand this, I promise. "And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth." So he's given us now the location of this woman, which you will see the location of this woman as we go on. "And there are 7 kings," this is really important, and we're going to be getting into this as well. 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. This is all going to be broken down for you, so please, again, stay with me. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. He shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith to me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So, as I said in the beginning of this video, the waters is actually the peoples, and he tells us this, he verifies this for us. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall he eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So in the beginning we see that this woman is riding on this beast, and now things change, and this beast goes after this woman, this whore. And notice the destruction, which we'll be covering, is burning with fire. All of these statements are very, very important. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So the woman, we're told straight out here, the woman is a great city. This whore woman is a great city. So the question is identifying exactly who this woman is, this city, who it is, and where is this city. And that's what we're going to go into and break down all the details that we just went over in Revelation 17 to show you who this mystery Babylon woman, this city, is. So now let's break down what we know from the Revelation to see if we can discover who this mystery Babylon woman is. Where is mystery Babylon located? Well, in Revelation 17:3, keep in mind, it says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The wilderness. Now, this is very interesting, because if you look up the word wilderness, the Strong's number 2048. In Greek, it is the word eromos, which the definition is deserted, desolate, a desert. So when the Lord is pointing to a wilderness, a desert area for this woman, that's what we should be looking for. So the answer in Mystery Babylon is definitely located in the desert, because that's what we're told in the scriptures. Now, where is this magnificent city located right now? Can we see this city somewhere on this earth located in the desert? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. Now, the first question one would ask, for those who say that the woman, this mystery Babylon, is Rome, you can eliminate Rome because it's not in the desert. And specifically, the Lord transported John in the Spirit to the desert. And for those who aspire that this Babylon city is New York City is not a desert. New York City is not in the wilderness. So please rule out those, because you're looking in the wrong place based on what Jesus just got through telling us, that this woman that John was able to see in the Spirit was in a desert. Now, it's very interesting when you look at Revelation chapter 17:5. It says, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the, get this now, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So this false religion, this mother of harlots, meaning it's the worst of all the false religions. And in specific words, mother of harlots really has a significant meaning behind it. Now, what's interesting to me is that Mecca, which is the most holiest place for the Muslims, also has the name of mother. Take a look. This is an old picture, obviously. Ancient Bakka is today's Mecca. Islamic tradition identifies Bakka as the ancient name for the site of Mecca. The Quranic passage using the form Bakka says, the first sanctuary appointed for mankind was that at Bakka, a blessed place, a guidance for the peoples. Other references to Mecca in the Quran 692 and 42:7 call it al-Qura, meaning, get this, mother of all settlements. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Lord points to the mother of all harlots, and then you see this religious place being the mother of all the settlements for the Islamic people, the Islamic faith. Now, if this city of Mecca is in fact what we see in Revelation chapter 17:5, then we have to see all of the other elements that were given to us by the Lord, and we do, in fact, see those elements that we've been covering. Now, an important note to keep in mind is the old Babylonian Empire. You'll see here wrapped around, goes right around Turkey and down here, and crosses over the Red Sea into parts of Egypt. Notice Mecca was part of that old Babylon Empire. Here is today Mecca right here by the Red Sea. So Mecca of today would be part of that old Babylonian Empire. Now, concerning the major seaport, trading port on the Red Sea, not that far away from Mecca, in this new city, King Abdullah's port annual capacity to reach 4 million TEU milestone infrastructure of berth 5 and berth 6 at final stages of this year's strategic expansion. This is an article that came out December 18th of 2016 talking about Saudi Arabia's seaport. This is very important because we see in the book of Revelation about the shipping and the merchants who will be far off when the destruction comes. I'll scroll down and just read this one section here. It says, run by the Ports Development Center, King Abdullah Port is the kingdom's first port to be fully owned, developed, and operated by the private sector. With its strategic location and state-of-the-art technology, all managed by national and global experts who strive to offer the best possible services, King Abdullah Port has earned its place at the heart of the world's major shipping lanes, all within a solid plan that will bring to reality its vision of becoming one of the largest ports in the world. And that's exactly what we see in the Revelation, a major port right next to the desert, right next to Mecca, and obviously right next to the magnificent city that is planned Neom. Now, the pictures that you see below are actually pictures from Saudi Arabia, in the wilderness, in the desert, a city in Saudi Arabia. And there's this magnificent city going to be built in Saudi Arabia. It's called Neom. And I want to give you some information about the city that's being built so that you'll understand the wilderness, this desolate place, in the last days would be joined in fulfilling the prophecy in Revelation chapter 17 as this great new city joins with Mecca. This new city is going to be the financial hub, and Mecca will be the religious part of the end times, or the mother of harlot. But there's much more to understanding the clues that the Lord gave to us, the information pointing to Mecca and this financial city that I'll be giving you more information about as we watch the developments taking shape in Saudi Arabia, with the most religious center for the Muslims in Mecca, and now combining the financial city of Neom. Now, we want to go back into verse 3 here, and I'm going to center now on the 7 heads. And it says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness," which we already covered, "and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast," which we will cover, "full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." But we're going to do the 7 heads right now. Look in verse 9. It's the clarification of what we're told. "And here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth." So this harlot is going to be sitting on 7 mountains. Where are they? Obviously, they're in the desert. So where is this city that the Lord, we believe, is pointing to? It's in the desert. Mecca is in the desert. And guess what? Mecca is sitting on 7 mountains. Now, is this a coincidence? I don't believe so. And when you keep compounding the rest of the information showing Mecca in this financial city that's being built, you get to understand what the Lord is showing us about this. So Mecca, Saudi Arabia, the center of the Muslim world and one of its most important sites, Mecca in Saudi Arabia isn't built on 7 hills, but in the center of them. The 7 hills are
Jabal Abu Sibat, Jabal Safa, Jabal Marwa, Jabal Abu Milha, Jabal Abu Ma'aya, Jabal Abu Hulaya, and Jabal Abu Ghazlan.
So we have the proof now that this woman is in the desert. We also have the proof that sitting on the 7 mountains. And so now in Revelation 17:18 is that great city. So the great city, I believe, in conjunction with the holy site, Mecca, is this new city that Saudi Arabia just announced, which I'm going to show you, called Neom. Now, in order to give you the full picture, I need to go to Revelation chapter 18 and show you that this city has to be built around water. And you'll see why, starting in verse 15 of Revelation chapter 18. "The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city, that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stone and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster," again dealing with the sea, "and all the company," look at this, "in ships and sailors, and as many as," look at this is important, "as trade by sea stood afar off." So there's a time coming where this great city is going to be destroyed by the Lord. And these ships that do trading with this city are going to be far off and watch this city burning with fire when the Lord destroys Mystery Babylon. So as I said, this religious city, Mecca, combined with this new financial major city being built in Saudi Arabia, which spans 10,230 miles, definitely going to play a major role in the last days. Now, knowing this, we know how Saudi Arabia, Mecca, Mystery Babylon will be destroyed. Now, I already showed you how that these ships are going to be afar off and watch the destruction. But let's look, first of all, at the Old Testament to show you how it's going to be destroyed. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. "And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when God overthrew," now look at this, "Sodom and Gomorrah." And what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? God rained fire and sulfur on them, burned them. "It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall Now get this, the Arabian pitched tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their folds there. Now, obviously, the people who were saying that Mystery Babylon was New York, when did you see an Arabian pitch his tent in New York? It doesn't happen. It's because they missed where the Lord was pointing to, what city that he was pointing to. And obviously, you won't see shepherds running around with their goats and their sheep in New York City. And that goes also for Rome, Italy. There isn't any Arabs pitching tents in Rome, nor the shepherds walking around there with their flocks. Now moving to the Revelation, chapter 18, again, we see the destruction mentioned. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly, now look at this, burned with fire. For strong is the Lord who judges her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. In verse 10 we already covered, because they're going to be standing afar off saying, alas, alas, this great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Now it's very interesting that the Lord references the destruction of Mystery Babylon in the last days with fire. And since Saudi Arabia is loaded with oil and gas, when the Lord passes the judgment, this judgment is going to affect and explode the oil in the gas in Saudi Arabia. And it will burn just like we saw in Isaiah and referenced in Revelation chapter 18. Now you can't say that about Rome, and you can't say the destruction will come by fire in New York City like this, because Rome doesn't have oil, and either does New York City. So when the desert is mentioned, that's exactly what the Lord is referring to. Peoples in the desert. In September of 2019, the Saudi oil field was hit by drones from Yemen. And this would be sort of a prelude of what would happen, but only magnified. God only knows how much. But for sure, oil definitely burns, and when the destruction comes, it's going to be swift and just like the Lord prophesied. And I believe this is why Jesus Christ gave us the warning about the desert and about going out there for Messiah. Look what he says in Matthew 24:26. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in, where? New York City? Rome? No. In the desert. Go not forth. Behold, he is in secret chambers. Believe it not. So if you've been looking towards Rome, and if you've been looking towards New York City, you have definitely been looking in the wrong place. Mystery Babylon is not in America, and it is not in Italy. It's in Saudi Arabia, in the desert. I want you to take also notice of Revelation chapter 18, verse 19. It says, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city. When this city goes up in flames, like we already saw in Isaiah and Revelation, we see that the people are throwing the dust on their heads. Now, this is a custom of the Middle East. You won't see the people in Italy throwing dust on their heads or New York City, but you will see it from the people in the Middle East, in the desert, Saudi Arabia, around Mecca, in this financial world hub city that the Lord points to. Now, what you're looking at right here is part of Neom that they announced back in 2015. And this is Saudi Arabia's concept city called the Financial Island. And they're going to make it a world financial hub. And you notice that it is on the sea. Now, they've already started to build this city. And it's going to be a city like we have never seen before. Again, very important, a financial hub for the world. Now, just so you know, Saudi Arabia is a major trading hub. seaport. Almost all of the wealth of the great city comes from the oil transported by ocean-going tankers. The economy of Saudi Arabia is one of the top 20 economies in the world. It is dependent on oil as the country has the second largest proven petroleum reserves, and the country is the largest exporter of petroleum in the world. Nearly all of the oil export is by sea. It also has the fifth largest proven natural gas reserves and is considered an energy superpower. With a total worth of $35 trillion, Saudi Arabia has the second most valuable natural resources in the world. So in the end, as the scriptures tell us in Revelation chapter 18, these ships are going to be way out into the sea watching this city burn. So far, when you start combining all the details, we see who this harlot is. Now, as far as Saudi Arabia's seaport and the number of ships passing through, take a look at this video that actually shows the number of ships that are going by the Red Sea and around Saudi Arabia doing trade, and the merchants of the world passing through right near Mecca and where the new financial hub will be built.
At any given moment, tens of thousands of giant cargo ships are moving around the world's oceans. These ships, some of which are more than a quarter of a mile long, are the heavy lifters of the global economy, shifting everything from metal ores and compressed gas to fresh fruit and plastic toys. This interactive map shows the movements of the world's commercial shipping fleet in 2012, based on hundreds of millions of individually recorded positions. Plotting all the raw positions at once shows the extraordinary extent of modern shipping's reach. Even without a background map, the world's coastlines are clearly defined, albeit with plenty of variation, from the buzz of activity in the East China Sea to the relative quiet of Somalia's piracy-afflicted waters. While ships can move freely through the open ocean, routes are predetermined closer to land, and especially in tight straits such as the dual carriageway of the English Channel. The most crucial shipping thoroughfares of all, though, are the man-made canals linking different bodies of water, such as the Panama Canal, opened a century ago to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and the even older and busier Suez Canal, which saw 17,000 transits in 2012 alone.
So here it is, the Suez Canal running right into the Red Sea. Mecca, not too far away, and here is Saudi Arabia, a major shipping line. All right, so let's take a look now at October the 17th, 2012. This is just another look. You'll see who put this up, the global ship traffic seen from space, the Fleetmon satellite, AIS, and Fleetmon Explorer. So as we go through, keep in mind about the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, because this is the area that we see mentioned in the Bible and will have to do with the tribulation period and Mystery Babylon being burnt up. The shipping lane in the Red Sea. And you notice in here, this is where most of the traffic is. That's why it's so congested in the white. Now look at the congestion here in white. You'll see this is Saudi Arabia. Mecca, again, would be right around here. And moving up would be the Suez Canal. And of course, Saudi Arabia is surrounded by water. There's the Red Sea.
I am Nazmi al-Nasr, the CEO of NEOM. What a day it was in 2017 when NEOM was announced. It was a big day for NEOM history and the future. There was a lot to do to transform the dream to reality. And it was a journey of more than 2.5 years. So 2 years we spent on preparing, designing, and fine-tuning the strategy of each sector. These are the sectors that are going to build the economy of NEOM and the future of NEOM. A very critical part of the work that we were doing over the last 2 years is how do we design and plan the region. NEOM is a huge region. It's over 26,000 square kilometers, and we want to make sure we develop this land in the best way possible. We are excited because we are going to introduce something that human beings have not done before, and we want to share it with the world. And we believe the implication of the application of the line will go beyond NEOM. The line is the milestone, is the uniqueness of NEOM. The line is the revolutionary idea of urban planning for the future. This is a revolution in urban planning, and we believe that's going to set the stage for the new model for urban planning for many decades and centuries to come. And that's what makes us really excited. And we're excited to announce it, and we are excited to share it with the world, and we are excited to announce the completion of it in many years to come. Actually, 2021 is going to be a very special year for NEOM. Why? Because it's the year where we're going to be announcing the majority of regions' master plans completion, which basically means we will start the implementation of these master plans.
So on October 24th, Prince Mohammed bin Salman announced the megacity NEOM. The name NEOM means new future and comes from 2 words and 2 languages. First is the Greek word neo, meaning new, and then the M stands for the Arabic word mustaqbal, meaning future. It will operate as an independent economic zone with its own laws, taxes, and regulations. NEOM will be massive, over 10,000 square miles or over 26,000 square kilometers, and that will make it more than 33 times larger than New York City and a little less than the size of Massachusetts. Located in the northwest corner of Saudi Arabia, NEOM loosely connects the 3 continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe and hopes to be a leading global hub. And in that location, 70% of the world's population will be able to reach it in under 8 hours. NEOM will strive to be one of the world's economic and scientific capitals. NEOM plans to attract the top talent from around the world and push the boundaries of innovation like never before. And they hope to do this by being the safest, most efficient, most future-oriented, and best place to live and work. As NEOM is developed and after it's established, it will focus on 9 investment sectors and living conditions. They'll focus on energy and water, mobility, biotech, food, technological and digital sciences, advanced manufacturing, media, entertainment, and livability. By investing in the latest innovation in these 9 areas, NEOM will be a technological proving ground. Also, since NEOM will be built from scratch, it will be unlike any other city on Earth, being built with future technologies at the cornerstone of its development. Every aspect will be innovative and futuristic compared to other cities that have evolved over the years. NEOM's layout will encourage walking and bicycling, and the city will be solely powered by renewable energy. On top of that, NEOM will include disruptive transportation technology such as self-driving cars, passenger drones, and Hyperloop systems. The Russian company Suma Group has announced its support for NEOM and plans to invest billions of dollars in a food hub and Hyperloop system for the megacity. NEOM will also have utopian features such as free high-speed internet, which they'll call digital air, and it'll also have free world-class continuous online education. Additionally, all of NEOM's services and processes will be 100% fully automated. If everything goes according to its vision, NEOM will be a glimpse of what's to come in the future. We will see how people will live and how they'll work when robots take most of the jobs, because in NEOM, all repetitive and arduous tasks will be fully automated and handled by robots, which may outnumber the humans in the city. So I am very interested to see how NEOM plays out, and I hope it has a positive impact on humanity at large.
Now let's talk about Mecca, and specifically the Kaaba. The Kaaba is where this meteorite that fell from supposedly the heavens. And we read about in the Quran where Muhammad took this meteorite and he placed it in the Kaaba. In Acts chapter 19 of the New Testament, the Apostle Paul sets out for Ephesus, which was his third missionary journey, and confronts the Ephesians for worshiping the goddess Diana. Diana was just a disguised version of Jezebel, the detestable queen of heaven. Diana was also known as Semiramis and many other names in ancient Babylon, as was her counterpart, the son of Baal, Nimrod. The idolatry involved was mother and son worship, fertility worship, and the worship of the celestial. Diana represents the spirit of Jezebel from Revelation chapter 2 verse 20. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. These are also the same spirit referred twice in the book of Jeremiah as the queen of heaven. This is a picture of that Kaaba. And there is a stone or meteorite that fell from heaven, and this was placed in the Kaaba, and it was placed right in the corner of this Kaaba. And we have millions of people from many different places around the world that come to Mecca in their Hajj. And what they do is they circle this Kaaba so that it looks like a sea of people marching around this Kaaba that is housed this stone, supposed to be thrown down from the heaven. And the Muslims who are marching around, they'll stop and they'll touch this because they believe that when they do this, it's taking their sins away. Now, as I already said, in history in the book of Acts, it tells us that Diana was worshipped through the ritualistic chanting, great, great, great is Diana. Now the Muslims pray towards the black stone in Mecca, meteorite, and chant Allah Akbar, meaning Allah is great, just like Diana was worshipped in Ephesus. Muslims at the Kaaba in Mecca kiss and caress the black stone meteorite as though it were a woman, and believe that, as I said, it takes their sins away, which causes the stone to be black. Now, the black stone meteorite is encased in a metallic shell that appears similar to the genitals of a woman because Satan enjoys being worshipped as a woman. Mecca is the center of global crescent and star worship, the exact same religion of ancient Babylon. So what is in Mecca right now, housed in that corner, that's supposed to be taking the sins away from the people who are touching it, is an offshoot of all of these gods that have been handed down over these many, many years through these world powers. Now, when the Tower of Babel came down, the worship of these two that you see before, Nimrod and Semiramis, they began to spread in different forms, different names. For example, in Egypt, the two were called Osiris and Isis. Assyria, these gods were called Ashur and Astar. In Babylon, we see Baal and Belet. In Persia, which is today modern-day Iran, Mithra and Hanahida. In Greece, they're called Halos and Artemis. In Rome, Apollo and, as we saw in the book of Acts, Diana. Now, throughout the Bible, they are referred to as Baal and Ashtaroth. For example, in Acts 7:43, they're called Moloch and Rampham. So different names, but for these different types of gods, these woman gods who have made their way into Islam and at the Kaaba and in the cornerstone of that Kaaba. So what you have here is actually a replacement for Jesus Christ. Let me explain. Since they put this meteorite right here, this supposedly this religious symbol in the corner at this Kaaba. You'll see a better picture of it right here. And they made it, as I said, a replacement for Jesus Christ, because now the stone takes away in the corner. As they move around this Kaaba and they touch the stone in that corner, it takes away their sins, supposedly, which turns it black. Now, in the scriptures, we're told that Jesus Christ is what? He is the cornerstone. For example, in Ephesians, as you see right here, chapter 2, verses 19 through 22, it says, "Now, therefore, you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the what? The chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building being fitted together grows into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you also are being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit." So Christ being the cornerstone and now being replaced by the Islamic faith in the corner at the Kaaba. And the millions of people that have come out, as we see in the scriptures, just like water, swarming around the Kaaba, paying homage to the symbol embedded in the corner of that Kaaba. So the Kaaba, meaning cube in Arabic, is considered by Muslims to be the house of God. It rests within the grand mosque of Mecca, right here. But we know, as the Christian faith, that Jesus Christ, our cornerstone, doesn't live in a temple. He lives in us. We are the temple of God. That cornerstone is in us. It's not in a building. It's not in the corner of a cube. So when you go back and you see that this whore that sitteth upon many waters, and you know now that the waters of the people, you get a good understanding about this mystery Babylon. What I found interesting from Revelation 17:4 is that it's decked with gold. We're talking about the women, which are arrayed in purple and scarlet, decked with gold. Now around the Kaaba, it is also decked with gold. This is called a kishwa. The covering for it, you see it here as well. Now the Kaaba is dressed in its new kishwa on the day of Arafat every year. During the same day, the Grand Mosque is usually empty because all the pilgrims are gathered in Arafat. The kishwa is made of, get this, pure silk with gold threads at the cost of more than SR $22 million. And here you see a picture of some of the technicians that are weaving this gold silk into this kishwa that will be draped on the Kaaba. But that's not the only gold on the Kaaba. The door on the Kaaba is made of pure gold. So you see again the similarities, decked with gold. I want to revisit Revelation chapter 17 verse 4 again, and this time center again around being decked with gold, the precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So what we know is whoever this mystery Babylon is, they're going to be very, very wealthy in gold and have all these other elements as well. The precious stones, the pearls. Now, without a doubt, Saudi Arabia is one of the richest nations in the world already because of their oil and gas. What you're looking at here is the ranking of gold holdings. And now in 2020, the ranking was Saudi Arabia was number 16. You'll see 323.7 tons in the third quarter of 2020. And there was an article that came out on the 3rd of April 2019, Saudi Arabia's gold miner plans to be a global top 20 supplier. Saudi Arabian mining wants to more than double gold output within 5 years.
Medine, as the state-backed company is known, plans to boost gold output from about 415,000 ounces this year to 1 million by 2025. Chief Executive Officer Darren Davis said in an interview that will catapult the oil-rich kingdom from a marginal gold producer to one of the world's top 20 suppliers. It's no coincidence that Saudi Arabia will be known for their gold supplies. Now, as far as the precious pearls and the stones, the Arab News had an article that I'm going to present to you to show you that Saudi Arabia definitely has the precious stones and the pearls as mentioned in the Revelation warning.
Saudi markets imported pearls and precious stones worth more than state route 19 billion in 2013 compared to state route 11 billion in 2012, or an increase of 73%, local media said. Based on 2012 data, Switzerland and the UAE topped the list of countries mostly exporting pearls and precious stones to the kingdom in 2012 in terms of value, where Switzerland captured 62% of all Saudi imports at state route 6.8 billion, followed by the UAE at 18%, SR 1.9 billion. An analytical study conducted by Al-Iqtisadiya Daily said, in terms of quantity, the Saudi markets imported 5,000 tons of pearls and precious stones in 2012, of which 3,700 tons, or 80%, were imitated ornaments and jewelry. China alone exported 2,500 tons of imitated ornaments and jewelry, or 67%, to the kingdom, the report said. Despite the big amount of pearls and precious stones coming from China, their value stood at only state route 231 million because 78% of the Chinese exports to the kingdom, or 2,500 tons, are imitated items, the report said. Going into details, the pearls and precious stones sector contained a variety of types, notably gold bullion, of which the Saudi markets imported some 42 tons at the value of state route 8.5 billion, or 78% of total values. The report said other types of pearls and precious stones sector imported by Saudis were as follows: gold at the value of state route 1.6 billion, 14%; platinum valued at state route 443 million, 4%; imitated ornaments valued at state route 163 million, 1%; silver valued at state route 65 million, 1%; ordinary metal plated with precious metal valued at state route 61 million, 1%. Metal works of ordinary or precious metals valued state route 44 million, silver valued at state route 26 million, gold works valued at state route 24 million, and silver alloy at state route 11 million, the report added.
So without a question, Saudi Arabia imports mega amounts of stones, precious stones and pearls, a value of millions and millions of dollars. So you can cross that item off. It shows that it's very consistent with the warnings from the Revelation. Now, one of the things that we know from Scripture is where the Antichrist will be coming from. It's not a mystery like who is Mystery Babylon, which we are going through right now. The Lord gives us information about who it is and where they're coming from. And you'll see the flag of Turkey flying right there with a scarlet color flag. And that's very important because in the book of Revelation, it talks about the scarlet color. Now, in Revelation chapter 2, verse 13, it says this: "And to the angel of the church of Pergamos," which was Turkey at that time, "write, he who has the sharp sword with two edges says these things. I know your works and where you live, even where," now get this, "where Satan's seat is," where Satan dwells. So he tells us point blank, Satan's seat is in Turkey. And it's not a coincidence that the Islamic faith, with their flag, with the half moon and the scarlet color flag. Now, and we know that the man of sin is going to hook up with this false religion that comes out of the desert, and this false religion will be riding on top of the beast. And then we do know from the scriptures that during the tribulation period that this Antichrist will go after this woman, this harlot, to destroy this religious system. And we know from the book of Revelation also that not only does this Antichrist go after the Islamic stronghold in Mecca, but he will be going after anyone who doesn't bow down to him and receive his mark of 666. So since the Lord points to Pergamos or Turkey as Satan's seat, let me show you what's developing so that you'll understand from Scripture how Turkey is fulfilling that role. So here again is that scripture, and I'm going to interject a picture to make it very, very simple for you to understand now. We'll add in the pictures and read what it says. And there are 7 kings, 5 are falling, and 1 is. Now, when John the Apostle was writing this, because Jesus Christ gave him the revelation of what was going to happen in the last days, at the time that he got the revelation on the island of Patmos, John was living under the edict of the Roman Empire. So when it says, and there are 7 kings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 are fallen. So here is John living in the Roman Empire, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those kingdoms had already fallen. And 1 is, and the 1 is the one that John was living in, Rome. And the other is not yet come. So when the Roman Empire fell, the eastern end of the old Roman Empire rose up. And that was the Turkish or Ottoman Empire that rose up. Listen to what it says. And the other is not come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. So we're expecting another kingdom to come in the last days. And then he tells us, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. So the one that comes, the last one, the 8th one that comes, he was part of the 7. Now, when you see what happened with Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, which used to be, again, the eastern end of that old Roman Empire, rose again. And it rose again under the leadership of Erdogan Erdogan. Now, since the Lord referenced there are 10 kings, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, Greece was split into 4 because Alexander the Great died in a young age, and his kingdom was split into 4 different kingdoms, so there was 4 there. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kings. And another one would come later, the little horn, as we see in the book of Revelation, which would be the Antichrist, Satan's seat in Turkey. That's why it's not a surprise that the Ottoman Empire has risen again. Now, what we also know is, as we're watching the news in these last days, if you read the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39, you would see that there's going to be a massive invasion against Israel. And we're told the exact nations who will be coming down. And guess what? Part of those nations that will be coming down, part of the major force that will be coming down, is Iran, Russia, and guess who? Turkey. And in 2008, we saw an alliance start to build up between those exact same nations that are listed in Ezekiel chapter 38, and these same nations today are not friendly with Israel. And it's not a coincidence. And you'll see this other article, February the 19th, 2019, the emerging alliance of Turkey, Russia, and Iran. Analyst. The presidents of Iran, Russia, and Turkey met last week in the Black Sea resort of So it's time to discuss Syria, a summit that marked the increasing convergence of national interest between these regional powers, reported U.S. magazine National Interest. Now we're getting away a little bit from Mystery Babylon, but we're still connected to it because Turkey, the leader of Turkey, will be going down into Saudi Arabia, into Mecca, to destroy the harlot, this woman who has infiltrated the world with her fornication and spreading this false religion that Christ warned about. Now, there was a radio show that I'm reading from this report because they were reporting on it, Battle of Gog, Magog on the horizon. And that, again, is the reference to the attack from Ezekiel chapter 38. But listen to what this article said. Recently, I was listening to nationally syndicated radio program, and the host made an astonishing observation. She described a recent trip she took to Israel. She talked about looking over the border into Syria. Then she dropped a line that grabbed my attention. She said, when you look over the border today, you're not looking at Syria anymore. You're looking at Russia, Iran, and Turkey. This wasn't a religious broadcast. It was a secular political talk show. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think the host realized the true significance of her observation. I don't think she spoke from the perspective of biblical prophecy, and it made her statement even more powerful because any objective observer has to agree with her. So we have military alliance between these three nations, Turkey, Iran, Russia, and they're all in Syria now. And what we do know from Ezekiel chapter 38 is the attack against Israel comes from the uttermost northern part, which, guess what? Syria is directly north of Israel. And so you have the same exact people in position for that coming attack that Ezekiel warned about. And this is what this article is in reference to. Now there was a map here also that showed this 2013, the influence of militias, the nations that are in Syria right now. And if you take a look in the blue, you'll see that this is Iran, for example. And this is the only place that they were in 2013, but in 2020, look at this, the presence is well known. So here are a few articles showing how Turkey's Ottoman Empire has risen again. The eighth kingdom, the one that was part of the seven that was not, but then became the eighth kingdom. And it isn't a coincidence that they're writing about it. And here's another one from Time from September the 3rd of 2020. Why Recep Tayyip Erdogan's love affair with the Ottoman Empire should worry the world. So there's Erdogan with the scarlet colored flag in the background. And notice that 10 Arab states agreed to join U.S.-led military campaign against Islamic State. Could these be the 10 that will be joining forces with the Antichrist that arises out of Turkey? Only God knows at this point. We'll just have to wait and see. But what we do know is the power from Turkey, from that old Roman Empire, has already risen again, and it is continually getting stronger. The eighth kingdom that will go after the harlot in Saudi Arabia and in Mecca. And then eventually everyone who doesn't bow down to the Antichrist. So now when you look at the picture of the warning from Revelation chapter 17 verses 10 through 12, you should have a clear understanding of what Jesus has shown us. And it's only in our generation that we can understand it because we're seeing it come to life. So if you're still unbelieving, all I can ask you is to keep watching the news, because you will see the developments in the desert, how it's growing and how the focus to the Islamic religion will be pushing and pushing and pushing. And even the Pope is pushing the Islamic cooperation with the Catholics. So we're seeing the emergence of this false religion. We've seen a stone replace, taking away the sins that only Jesus took away when he hung up on the cross. But now, in these last days, they set up an image and they put this falling debris that came out of the sky in the cornerstone of the Kaaba. So the question is, who are you going to worship? Who are you going to bow down to? Are you going to bow down to the Lord Jesus Christ? As he told us in Philippians, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess to Jesus Christ. He's given us ample warning, pointing to specific detailed information about what would happen in the last days. These are those days, and we're watching it develop. Today would be a great day to give your life to Christ. Please subscribe to my channel, as I'll keep you informed, connecting the dots between Bible prophecy and current events as they continue to unfold right before our eyes.